first and most obvious option, if you're trying to get covers on your self-published books, is to do it DIY, do it yourself, make them yourself and keep the price right down. Now, often this isn't the best option because, I don't know about you, but I'm no designer. I have no flair for this stuff at all, and I'm very happy to pay somebody who knows exactly what they're doing, because you pay for their talent and their experience. But what I do use DIY covers for, when I have a first idea for a book and maybe I start to write, I do like to be able to talk about that online, on social media, on my blog and my podcast side. So often what I'll do is I'll buy some pictures. As you can see here, I bought these from Fotolia.com that sum up the book or the sort of pictures that I might want to see on the cover. And I create my own DIY covers, and I call those holding covers. They just help me to visualize and talk about the books until I've had time to sort out a proper cover designer and to get them done professionally. Now, depending on your budget, you may have to rely on this. And in actual fact, you can do some pretty good covers for very, very cheap. Now, the thing to flag up here is that you must make sure that you've got the copyright on the images that you use. These 3 images were purchased from Fotolia.com. I'm always quite sensitive about copyright. I like to make sure I've got the right copyright for the images that I use. And buying these from Fotolia means that I can be quite confident that I can put them on it's several thousand books, and I ain't going to sell that number of books for quite a while. So I know that I could use these images quite confidently in my books, and I'm not going to run into any copyright issues. So Fotolia.com is the site that I use. There are many, many, many other photo sourcing sites. Fotolia is the one I've sort of settled on for price and quality of photos. But if you just do a search on Google for stock photos, stock imagery, you'll find many sites that do this. And some of them do it free. But the truth of the matter is, the less you pay, the less you get. The photos are not as good quality. You're going to have less choice if you pay nothing for the photos. But bottom line is, check the copyright. That's my best advice to you when you're using images. So I started with those images, and then I used the Kindle cover creator, which I'm going to demonstrate to you in a moment or two, to produce those holding covers. Now, they're not great covers, and to be honest with you, that design style, when you've been self-publishing for a little while, you can spot self-published cover creator covers a mile off. And I know, those have been done on the Kindle cover creator. They got those little blocks at the sides and the tilted text. It says to me DIY cover when I look at those. It shouts out to me. But while I'm writing my books, this gives me something to visualize, or to help people visualize the book that I'm writing about. And they are only holding covers. They're temporary covers. So it doesn't matter that much. I'm not listing them on Amazon yet. I'm just using these holding covers to talk about them. And then if I use something else that I'll show you in the later videos, a tool called My Cover Maker, I can actually take those very simple images from the Kindle Cover Maker and I can make them 3D, and I can actually make them look pretty good using a free software tool. That'll come up in a later video. For the time being, we're talking about how to create DIY covers. Let me move now to the Kindle cover creator area, and I'll show you how you would turn those basic images into covers that look like that. This is my Kindle Direct Publishing book listing area. Again, you'll see this in different videos as I upload a book and talk you through this. But for the time being, what I'm demonstrating is just this area here, the Kindle ebook cover. I'm going to show you how you could make a DIY cover. Now, in this case, I'm actually uploading covers that have been made for me. That's one of the options that you've got, and I'll show you that later. But in this video, I'm showing you how to make your own covers for free or for very little cost. So in this case, I would click that box and I would click on this button, Launch Cover Creator. And KDP will think about that, and it will open this area here. So it says we can either upload images from our own gallery, and that's what I would have done with those images that I bought, or we can use Amazon's ready-made image gallery. So let's go for the cheap and cheerful option here. This is where we don't have to buy anything at all. Now, the book I'm listing is a thriller, so let's start looking around for kind of thriller covers, and you can instantly see that we're a little bit limited just there. Now, if I put, let's try murder, see if that's any good. No. How about police? See if police is any good. No. Crime. you can instantly see that we're limited by the searches. Okay, so at this point I'm giving up and saying, let's have a look at what we've got in here. Relationships. I kind of want a picture of a woman on the cover or something that's atmospheric. I don't think I'm going to get it from there, am I, by the looks of it? There's not a lot to go at. So you can instantly see there that we're just completely limited with what we've got. Now, I don't know what kind of pictures we've got here. See, none of these are suitable. But the advantage of this is, of course, that you can get free images. You're not going to have to pay for these. So it really depends on what your budget is and what your book is about. But I don't think I'm seeing anything in there that is particularly exciting. They're very generic. They're fairly poor quality. They're not really good to sell your book for you. And this is always the issue with book covers. If you're not paying for the quality and for the design, you're not really going to get something that leaps out of the page. This is always the balance you've got when you're making your own covers. Okay, so that's not going to work for me. I can't really find anything that I want for a crime book there. So let's take a look at what Amazon will just generate for me without me even going into the covers. Now, it's funny. This seems to be the one that's most commonly used, but that design and that design are the ones I see most commonly listed on Amazon, and they shout out to me DIY cover. Oh, this one's very common too. You'll see that one around quite a lot. So if you ever see those covers listed in the Amazon marketplace, you know that they've been done using the DIY cover creator. Now, if you've never done any kind of photo manipulation in your life and you struggle with this stuff, then I gotta say this is actually a pretty good option, because if the choices are no cover or one of these covers, I'd still rather you got your book published and use one of these covers. It's not the best. I think we could all see there it's really not the best option, but it does at least get your book published and it does at least get you out there. So I would always say strive for the best that you can get. And if this is what your budget does for the time being, then this is what we have to use. Now let me just use a simple text design just here. I'll just show you how this one would work. You'll see that what Amazon has done is it has brought in the author name, and this is an author name I'm playing with for the next series of books, a pseudonym. It brings the book subtitle in there and the book title, so we can actually just click in here if we want to. If I wanted to capitalize that, for instance, I don't know why I would, but if I wanted to capitalize it, I could. If I wanted to change the justification on there, I can center it, I can move it around like that. It's a bit like a Word document in that respect. Some things it will do, some things it won't. I can mess around with the text colors as well here, make it look even worse. I've got all sorts of color palettes there, and then we could do this sizing. We could change the size there up to 72, which is too big, or to 60. So we've got a lot of flexibility there. If you just don't want that there at all, you can just delete it. If you just want the cover a little bit simpler, just delete it. And then we can preview that cover, see what it's going to look like. And we can save and submit. And you can see that Amazon has brought our new cover into the book. And that will now be our cover. When we publish our book on Amazon, that's going to be our cover. Let's take a look at some photos here, if we were going to go and get some photographs. And if we go for a different cover, so if I click on this choose design up here, I can go and alter my cover. Let's go for something that would use maybe a photograph on there. So if I upload a photograph from my computer, and if we go into, you'll have to excuse my computer here because I've got lots of things saved here. If I go to the grid, and if I get the original cover images that I used, let's go for that cover image because it's going to fit nicely. I just upload that image from my computer, and it brings the image in. And then this one wasn't Don't Tell Me, this was the Grid trilogy, so I can call it the Grid 1 in there. And rather than book 1, that one was called Fall of Justice, and change my name on there. And you know, that's just not, it's not a terrible, I know it's not brilliant, but it's not a terrible cover. It's not awful. Now, clearly we've actually put our title right over the little man who's sitting there, and what I'd rather do with this, and I don't think it's good, is it going to let me drag it? No, it's not going to let me, won't let me drag those areas up to the top of the page there. Let me have a look. We'll have to go for a change layout there. Look, if we change the layout, we can actually, there, that's better. That's how I like it. So again, you've got these little layouts here that you can mess around with. And always just mess around with stuff. You can't break it. So just have a play around until you get it how you like it. And I have to say, you know, it's not brilliant, but that works. That's okay. We're not covering up the guy on the cover there. So I think that's okay. So let's preview that. Save and submit. Then it's going to ask us, do we want to update our info? I'm not going to update the info because I am actually going to make a proper listing of this. It's basically recognised that I've changed the title on the cover and that doesn't match the cover of the title. So I'm just going to click don't update info because I won't be saving this ultimately. And then off we go. It's processing the file. It will bring the file in a minute. You can see it's just processing it there. Give it a moment to process it and then it will change that image there. And we have created a DIY book cover. So not the best option, but a perfectly acceptable option if it's the difference between you not publishing your book and publishing your book. All I would suggest to you, if you use the cover creator, is just try, if you can, to buy an image, which will probably cost you. You need to buy a pretty big image, get a large size, so get it over 1,000 pixels in width, so that it's a really big image and it's not going to do what we call pixelate. Pixelating is when you've got an image that's too small and you're stretching it and it starts to blur and get pretty dodgy. So always buy a really big image for these covers. They cost a little bit more money, I'm afraid, but they will make your cover look better, and at least a decent stock image that you've paid for combined with the cover creator, I think on a budget can make you a fairly reasonable cover if that's the difference between you publishing and not publishing.